welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
Greetings, visionaries, and welcome to Velen's Chosen. Whether you're a competitive player, an arena specialist, a deck-building visionary, or just like having a bit of fun, we can help you buff your game and achieve your Hearthstone goals. This week, we talk Rise of the Shadows. Yes, you heard it here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new expansion just dropped as of yesterday. They finally teased out the rest of it. They've been teasing us for about a week or so, with little bits at a time. I am the host, at least the first host you hear from, Grant Gould. And joining me from across the North America continent is Eve Martin. How you doing tonight, Eve?
Good. Yeah, I think a lot of us were kind of like, come on, hurry up. Just do it already. Just like, give it to us. We want to know. And the video was like very masterpiece theater.
Yeah.
Very kooky,
I liked
very
it.
corny. Yeah, I liked it too.
I liked it. I just wish that it could have been like half as long, because it was like she's going to do this long, drawn-out thing and then flip a card.
Right.
And then we get another video that talks about the card she flipped, and then she's going to flip another card. And it felt like, oh, we have 4 to go. And then I think where it got tedious was when everybody started wondering, okay, we've seen, Togwaggle, and then Hagatha, and then Dr. Boom is like, it's all stuff we already know. So there was nothing like new to it. If everything was brand new, everybody would have been like, oh, this is so exciting. But because it was sort of rehashing old or revisiting old characters, I think people got a little bit, they felt that it was predictable, therefore it was more boring.
That was absolutely my concern to begin with. But I was kind of talking it out to Hat on Discord and just working it through, and I was like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If they had just given us like 4 completely brand new fresh characters we had never heard about and said these guys are doing a heist on Dalaran, it would have been like a whole bunch of unknowns, a whole bunch of like, why do we care about these characters? We don't know anything about them. We have no investment in them. So as I was working it through, like what their options were, what they could have done differently, I was like, actually, no, this kind of does make sense. At least this is a touchstone of people like, oh, I know that guy. I played with him before. He kind of has like a background story that I've seen before in other expansions. So it allows people, especially people who never played World of Warcraft, which is a large percentage of the fan base for Hearthstone, to kind of be like, okay, we're going to take these characters we know now from Hearthstone and then make a lore moving forward. Which I think is kind of, it looks like their plan to create Hearthstone lore and to now have these characters that exist for all time in Hearthstone and kind of go, now these guys are going to go rob Dalaran, which like probably a lot of people don't know a lot about Dalaran, but this floating city in the sky that's got a lot of mages in it and magical artifacts, and this would be a great place to rob if you needed power to get back at the people who blackened our eyes, which is us, by the way. It's like literally the players defeating these villains, so they're going to attack us somehow.
Yeah. It's like, you're going to attack us? No, it reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of like comic books. You know how comic books, like you have your standalone villains, but it made me think of a comic book I used to have called, like series of Spider-Man called The Insidious Six. And it was like Mysterio and the Vulture and Sandman. They all kind of teamed up. And it wasn't that it was the combination of them kind of deciding to work together to fight against Spider-Man. That was what made it kind of cool. So it's not Dr. Boom by himself or Hagatha by themselves that makes it interesting. It's that they're teaming up to go and basically loot Dalaran if they can. So.
And it's going to go so wrong.
Oh, it's going to be an epic fail, but it probably will have some great hijinks and shenanigans along the way.
And then, of course, they must be setting up like the adventure that we're going to get later after the expansion drops, because they're going to give us a bit of time to explore the cards and have fun with them before they drop the adventure on us. And then that's probably what it's going to be is these villains trying to attack Dalaran. Do you wonder if maybe you get to choose to be a villain attacking Dalaran or to be like the defenders defending Dalaran? Like pick a side. That to me would be really interesting because I know a lot of people would choose to be the baddies and want to know what their decks are like and go and wreak havoc on Dalaran.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind playing both sides. I want to know. I want to know what it's like to be the bad guy.
Yeah, so I agree with you. To begin with, I was like, oh my gosh, this is nothing new. This is old. This is old. And then once I started working my way through the story they were trying to build, I was like, okay, how, like, this was a good way to do it. And I'm kind of intrigued about them creating Hearthstone-specific lore with Hearthstone-specific characters. So
and it's interesting to see how they're going to tie it in going forward. Because in that video that Dave Kosak put out, where he's kind of smugly sitting in a high back chair, in a library, very masterpiece theater, like you had said. And, he's got a storybook, and it's like he's opening the first chapter of a 3-part series. So I'm interested to see kind of the lore they're creating within the game.
Right, it's going to be a trilogy, and they did say it's the year of the dragon, so there's definitely going to be dragons involved. And he said something. There was something else that they kind of tweeted about. Going to the sky, from the sky, and then to depths underground.
Yeah.
It was like...
what was that about?
What's his name? It's not Boba Fett. It's on Twitter.
Spartacus Fett?
Spartacus Fett. I'm sorry, Spartacus Fett. I always just call you Boba Fett in my mind. I'm sorry I got your name wrong. But Spartacus Fett was like, hey, Eve, what does this say to you, like deep underground? And I was like, okay, place deep underground, magical city that's kind of like Atlantis. That would be Queen Ashara's sunken city. So visiting that world of like Naga and like undersea creatures and possibly N'Zoth, that could be the next one or maybe the one after that.
That sounds totally awesome to me. Underwater Naga themes. I mean, because we've had Naga in cards, right?
Yes.
But theming them and making them more predominant within the set would be really cool.
Yeah. So that's already teasing next expansions to come, but...
Right. Well, let's talk about this expansion. Let's talk about a little bit of the nitty-gritty. Here's some of the deets for you. So the new expansion is announced, as you already all know. And Rise of the Shadows is its title officially, so we're going to call it ROS. I don't know. It's going to be released on the 9th, and the pre-release will start on April 5th. So, if you get paid on the 1st of the month, you don't have to worry about having to scramble to get your pre-order. If you're like me, you're probably going to have to... Normally, I get it like first day it comes out, but I think this time around I'm going to have to wait until the first couple days of April to get it. To make sure I afford it. I'd like to go with the $80 pack. There's two versions. There's a $50 pre-release, which it gives you 50 card packs, and it gives you the card back Jewel of Lazul card back, and a random free legendary. If you go with the $80 version, American, I'm speaking in terms of at the moment, you get the card back, plus you get a free golden legendary minion, I should say, and you get a new priest hero portrait, which is Madame Lazul, which is the fortune teller you see in all the videos. So that looks pretty cool. I'm anxious to read her emotes because she's a troll and she's a fortune teller, so gypsy fortune teller. So that should be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like how they said golden legendary minion and random legendary minion. So for sure it's not going to be like a legendary spell or a legendary weapon or something. So that narrows it down just in case they do have other options.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's
I
going to be pretty
always like
sweet.
the new portraits.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I thought initially I was like, do I need to buy the $80 one? And I'm like, well, yeah, because every time I buy the $50 pack version, I still ended up buying like 20 packs afterwards. So I pay for that. So I might as well just get the better deal at 80.
That makes sense. But and another thing is just kind of, if you're going to be playing the game for like an extended amount of time, sometimes it's nice to just be fresh and have a different hero portrait.
Yeah, and I like playing Priest. I do like playing Priest. In fact, I've been playing a lot of Slizzle's Mind Blast Priest on Wild, which is basically a Dragon Priest with a Mind Blast package. So you'd kind of like it. So Alex, and then drop Death Knight Anduin, and then or Velen, and just blow them to smithereens. After you've discovered a bunch of mind blasts off of the fire tree witch doctor. So I mean, you can get like a ton of mind blasts. You can get them off that and the stone, the
spell
2-cost spell, not the spell stone, the 2-cost spell that allows you to pull an extra copy of a spell out of your deck. I can't remember what it's called.
Right.
Shadow something or other.
Shadow Visions.
Shadow Visions. Yep.
Yeah.
So you can get a lot, and then you can discount them with Thaurissan, so you can burn somebody down pretty quick, and it's super fun. And it seems to do pretty well against the meta. But so Priest, I want to play Priest with a Gypsy fortune-telling troll. That's what I want to do. I want to mind blast them into oblivion. So I digress.
Yeah, so the new mechanics that they announced, we'll kind of get into them a little later when we go over the specific cards, but Twin Spell, Lackeys, and Schemes. So 135 new cards, 2 pre-order bundles, and you can actually get both of them if you want.
Yep. Oof, that's a lot of money.
And then there's if you log in from March 25th to April 2nd, you get 3 free card packs, one from each of the expansions we are losing in the Year of the Mammoth. Just as a kind of goodbye, we'll miss you. The Tavern Brawl that starts March 25th will be building decks using only Year of the Mammoth cards. And then the Tavern Brawl April 1st will earn you Rise of Shadows packs, which you won't be able to open until the expansion's release, but they'll sit there with their nice little shiny bows taunting you.
I know. I love and hate that.
Yeah,
love
right?
Love that they're free. Hate that I have to wait.
And then during the first week of the expansion, there will be a special 9-pack bundle that will be available for $10 and will include an arena ticket. Because they want you to go in and try what they're doing with arena, which I think is great. Just kind of pushing people into all the multiple ways you can play. They did drop the patch. So the patch has been dropped. They had a whole bunch of little lists of bugs that they have attacked and downed, and they have apparently made the game smaller. So it's going to take up less room on your phone or iPad or whatever you play on. And improved reconnections. If you get disconnected, that should be faster. So yeah, you can now re-roll legendary quests if you want to. I don't know why you would, but like maybe you just really, really don't want to go into the Tavern Brawl or whatever they're trying to force you to do.
Right.
Random card back selector.
Oh, that thing's sweet. I did that already.
Your golden heroes, you can now count arena wins. Unfortunately, this is not backwards counted, so all of you people who played arena for a long time, it's like starting now they count towards golden heroes. But better late than never. Complete My Deck is live. So if you want to go in there and just kind of see what the deck builder builds, apparently if you keep pressing the button, you will get different decks. It's not going to be the same one every time. Because they wanted to, here's what they said verbatim. There's a cooldown feature on the autocomplete. If you give it the same input, say a blank deck, and hit the button again, it'll make some adjustments to ensure you get a different but still valid result. Just to kind of give you a couple different options. If you were like, I don't really like that deck, try again. This is not available for Wild.
Man, it's okay.
They have been talking about putting some work into it, especially based on the reactions they get from how many people use this feature and if they like it and like feedback. So give all of your feedback if you want to see this in Wild. Tell them you love it and you use it and whatever, and then they'll put more effort and time into it and see if they can make it available in Wild. But of course, in Wild, there's like much more different.
Yeah, it's probably just way too many things to choose
they have
from.
to take into account, and yeah, like making a valid deck with like all the cards is probably.
I saw a super interesting thing where on Twitter, I don't remember who did it, and I wish I could off the top of my head so I can give him credit. What he did was he went on the deck builder or autocomplete feature, and he put in, like, he went into Paladin and he put in Baku. and it basically built almost card for card an Odd Paladin deck. Boom.
Yeah.
Like as it is now. Like, it's kind of interesting. And he did a cool thing. He said in the title, I put what it was in. So like build around cards. He put like the name of the card he built the deck around, and then it just filled it out. So he did one card and he built a deck around it, and it was a viable ladder deck.
That's
almost
really
without
cool.
exception. It is pretty cool. I was like, wow. I mean, it's that smart, huh? Or it must know, you know. But.
You know what I'm gonna do when the expansion drops and I have a whole bunch of cards? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use it and just make like a shaman deck. Just press the button and autofill, and see what it gives me, and try this out. Because I suck at making decks. So I think I'm just going to see how good it is for new players and see through the eyes of a person who can't build decks and has a limited collection, because it's going to be limited to begin with the brand new expansion, and just kind of test this out and bring back feedback of how good or bad it is.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm anxious to know your feedback on that, because, I mean, we once were a podcast that almost catered exclusively to people who had little to no resources and were probably by extension newer players, you know. So, yeah, Velen's retrograde.
I'm interested, and also the idea of like having a certain amount of cards and then it filling in from your collection what they think would be good to fit in, because then I can at least start with like, I like these cards and they're interesting to me, and then just like fill in the rest. Yeah, I'm gonna play around with it and see. After like last show, I was like, this is not something we're going to use at all. This is not for us. We net deck. We do all the things. Now I'm completely
it could
going
very
back
well
on that.
be. You recant.
I'm recanting all of that and saying I'm going to try this and see how good it is and see if I like it. So, past Eve.
So, you know, I didn't realize this because this was something I missed in the notes, but like they said they fixed reconnect improvements.
Yeah.
Or they had updated it. You know, I want to say something that since I updated my client, I had it like crash on me 3 or 4 times in the last day or so. Just randomly log out, like the app closes on my phone. And I have an iPhone. I don't know if you've had that issue or not, but like I was
Since
mid-game,
the patch got downloaded?
Yeah, I got the new patch, and I was playing a game against a rogue, and just mid-turn it goes boom. It just the app just closed. The window didn't even like minimize. You know, like on iPhones, it'll looks like it's shrinking. It just different screen, like snap of a finger. Like I blinked and there was no more Hearthstone on the screen.
Okay,
And then
I
had to,
know
of
it's a
course, log
pain in
back
the butt, but my advice is to completely delete the app from your phone and re-download it completely, and then see how it goes from there.
Yeah,
But
maybe,
otherwise,
because,
I tweet out on Twitter to like the Hearthstone team and say this has happened to me several times now since the patch, because they love people giving them that information.
Yeah, it's probably good to know, need to know stuff. And so if you're out there, if you have that same issue, let me know, and then I'll maybe voice it.
So how was your reconnection speed?
It was fine. Honestly, I'll tell you what. The reconnect thing has actually been much, much better. Like, for example, you ever do this thing where you are at your house and you start, I like to go walking, and I'll start a game in my house where my Wi-Fi is, and then I'll start walking away from my house, and I'll forget that I shouldn't have started the game on the Wi-Fi. And it used to be that if I switched connections, like go from my Wi-Fi connection to my data plan,
Right.
that the game I would not be able to reconnect.
Oh.
It used to be that way. Now it'll disconnect for a second and reconnect really fast. So I've been very pleased with that. So it hasn't always been as nice as it is until it was only a couple months ago I was like, oh man, I forgot to switch to data before I left the house.
Yeah.
But it reconnected. I'm like, oh wait, hey, it works. Sweet. Yes. So
it got smarter.
It got schmata. So yeah, that's a cool feature, and I'm really glad that they're working on it. Now I wonder I want to see if it'll work to go start a game on a PC, log into the client on my phone, and walk out and see if that'll work. I'm curious to know if that'll work. So.
I've done that before where I've been on my iPad and my iPad battery was like really low. So I just, without logging out, I logged into the game on my PC, so it kicked me off my phone, but automatically like brought up the game pretty quick on my PC. Well, not PC, it's a Mac, but
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying.
yeah, I get what you're saying. So,
So
cross-platform, I should say.
yeah, and it usually I was like the rope was starting to go, and I'm like, just like do a bunch of things and then pass the turn. So
Yeah.
apparently Grawl the shark was causing a lot of bugs.
Really, I never play with Grawl except for the Brawliseum. I almost never play with Grawl the Shark, which makes me sad. But
I just kind of like skimmed over like all of the bug things that they say, and there was like Grawl the shark, Grawl the shark, Grawl the shark. And I was like, oh, okay. So if there's something that's been bugging you a lot in Hearthstone, like fixed issue where magnetic minions could incorrectly execute their end of turn effects additional times after being bounced and replayed.
huh, interesting. Yeah, all these things are like happening with cards that I don't play with,
Right?
so I don't know about them. You know.
Big bad voodoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Effect triggers on a minion that doesn't have any valid minions to evolve into. It will now summon a random minion of equal cost. Okay, that's
Okay.
interesting. So
you
yeah,
go.
just take a look at the bugs and maybe
We sound
the
like
thing
we
that-
care a lot.
Well, I wasn't noticing anything that was like, hey, that shouldn't happen when I played. So it wasn't really like, oh, this bug really bugs me and I need to.
Right.
That was bad.
They're kind of like background bugs. Like they're kind of like only for those who really are looking for them. You know.
Like Toast.
Exactly like this guy's toast.
He's back, by the way. He's playing again.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to let the world know. Come watch me play Hearthstone. I'm back in a big way. So we'll see him breaking all of the cards as soon as they come out.
Yeah.
Speaking of cards.
Speaking of which, that was an excellent segue, by the way.
I'm
Speaking of cards,
excited because there are at least two that
you
have
take the first
lore.
one. Take the first one and then tell us the lore. This first one is a big one.
Kalecgos is a legendary mage minion. He's a dragon. 10 mana for 12. Your first spell each turn costs 0. And I love this part. Just in case you don't have a spell, battle cry, discover a spell. And that one is going to be 0 if you decide to use it.
So turn 10, 4/12, get a dragon, and then, fireball or pyroblast or something
Flame
mean.
strike or
Flame strike. Clear your board.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Seems good.
Kalecgos, he's got a lot of story that he was in a couple of the books and the comics in World of Warcraft. Basically, after Malygos went crazy and adventurers, which is code word for players in the game, defeated him and took him down, he stepped up and became the new head of the Blue Dragonflight. So he's the aspect of magic. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out where he would be in Hearthstone. Because sometimes they take, people when they're still alive, and sometimes they take them after they're dead. Kalecgos is still alive in World of Warcraft, but there was a part where he and Jaina were very in love. Like boyfriend, girlfriend, passionate, dating, not married, but like it was an understood thing that they were definitely a hot and heavy item. And I would like it to be there. Where he and she are right now. Because it kind of, in preparation, I think, for the new expansion landing in World of Warcraft and like Jaina having a huge part of it, they're like, we don't want her to have like a guy she's tagging around with. That's not Jaina's thing. So they broke up. She's doing a whole bunch of soul searching and figuring out who she is now and what she wants and what's going to make her happy. So they're separated, but they still really love each other. But
I love you, but not as much as I love me. Got it.
it was more like after Theramore was destroyed,
right.
all Jaina was like rage. Constant, angry, all the time, focused rage. And Kalecgos was like the person talking her off the ledge all the time. But she was like, I can't stop being this person, and I don't like this person that I am, but I don't know how to be any other way. And I have to figure out how to not just be angry all the time. And, my whole life is just now hating the Horde. And so I can't be in a relationship with you until I figure this out. Which, makes sense to me. And so she goes
Yeah.
and does all the stuff that she does in World of Warcraft, and he's kind of like, I believe that there's a good person inside you. I think if you do some soul searching, you're going to find a good person at the bottom of it, and I'm going to be here when you're done. I'll always be here waiting for you.
Does Caligos live on Dalaran? Like, does he reside there, or
He is part of the
somewhere else?
Kirin Tor, yes. He's a member of the Council of Six, which is the main, like, ruling council of Dalaran. So, yes.
Does he stay predominantly in human form or dragon form?
Human. Well, it's actually half-elf.
Is he an elf personification or a human?
They basically can choose how they appear. It's like shape-shifting, and most of the dragons choose to appear in high elf form because it's pretty. Like,
Party.
Caligos has like blue hair because
Yeah.
you know he's a blue dragon, and he looks like sort of like human, but taller and more beautiful.
More stately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my research. I was like, Caligos, who the heck is that? And so I was like, Caligos, you know, and like I got some of the art and then some of like what he looks like in game and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, sweet. I'm glad they're using actual WoW people as in tandem with Hearthstone fabricated heroes. So
You know what? I think it's kind of part of it might be a little bit of a troll to Hearthstone players because the picture of Malygos is actually Caligos.
Oh, is it really?
Yes. So when people are like, actually, that art is, they're like, fine, we'll just make a Caligos card now. Now Caligos is a dragon card.
So the Malygos card
Yep.
that we've been playing with forever is actually a picture of Caligos and not actually Malygos.
Yes.
Okay, hashtag make Malygos real. Okay, we can't have that. That Hearthstone. What have you done? What are you doing, Hearthstone?
It would have been interesting
Hearthstone.
if they chose to make Caligos look like a human, but that would have been too confusing for people to have
Nah.
like the tag dragon on the bottom.
Nah.
Too bad
And
they
it's-
don't
and
have
it's a
like those
412
cards
body. Come on.
that you can turn from side to side and they change the picture depending on how you turn them. And then it'd be like,
That'd be
choose to see Caligos in his elf form or his dragon
That's a different kind of like UI craziness on phones. I know iPhones can do cool things, like if you turn them and stuff like that. Like
Yep.
with like the StarCraft card back where if you shift it, it looks like the stars kind of move gyroscopically. But yeah, okay. Next card. Let's see. It's my turn. Chef Nami, neutral legendary minion. 7 mana, 6/6 reads Battle Cry. If your deck is empty, summon 6/6 Greasefire Elementals. Okay, wow. Okay, so this card is going to be sweet in a Myra's Unstable Element rogue deck. And I'm taking this idea from Just Saying because I read it on Twitter today and I thought, oh, mind blown. Basically, prep into Myra's, burn your deck, drop this on turn 7. Boom. Turn 7, you win. They can't kill your deck.
And then a priest just destroys them all with.
Well, with what?
Oh, is it going
guess-
away?
Well,
It's
he
going
could
away.
kill it with Mass Hysteria, but Mage can't really do anything to it.
Would you always have one left? If it was
Warrior
Mass
can't do
Hysteria?
anything to it at the moment except for Brawl. Was that?
If it was Mass Hysteria, would you always have one left?
No, because it's an even number with 6. So one would kill another.
Yeah,
which would
but
kill
you would
another.
also
But
have
if there were
him-
other
you'd have Chef
but
Nomi
if-
as well.
well,
And
oh,
he's
that's
a
right.
6/6. So you'd have 7.
Well, also you'd always have one left, but also it depends if there was stuff on the board. So it could go all
Right.
kinds of different ways.
Right.
But it's still a pretty cool idea.
Like
So
a thing
is-
can't attack if it's dead, right? Like if 2 6/6s attack each other and one of them, they both die, then that
Yeah.
one can't attack because it's dead.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So is it Nami or Nomi?
Well, in my head, I say Nomi because I'm
Yeah.
Canadian, so that probably affects how I pronounce things. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I say Chef Nomi.
Nami,
in my head.
Nomi.
It could be Nami or
it-
Nomi.
Is he native to Hearthstone or is he actually in WoW?
He's in World of Warcraft. Yes, he's very
Oh.
famous.
So he's actually like a well-known character then.
Really famous to the player base.
Well, tell us about him then.
Okay,
He's a
so in World of Warcraft, you can get different characters that you can basically give jobs to, and then you go away and come back and see if they've done the job. I know they
That's
do
kind
this
of a
in a
new
lot
thing,
of
right?
different games. Yeah.
It's a relatively new thing, yeah.
You have like scouts that you can send away on missions to try and there's always like a percentage chance of them failing or doing really well and bringing back lots of good loot and money for you, or doing kind of well and bringing back like average stuff.
Yeah.
So there's always like a role of what Chef Nomi is a chef. And so you have a whole bunch of ingredients and recipes, and based on what you have unlocked, he can cook food for you. But he can also burn food. and give you absolutely useless. It's an item that's called badly burnt food.
And what does it do? Nothing.
Right. It's useless,
So you ditch it.
and that apparently happened a lot. Like, people would send him away and come back and check on like how he was doing, and they'd have badly burnt food, and they'd try it again. They'd get badly burnt food again. And what they're trying to do is get food that will help them buff. Like food that increases your stamina or your intellect or whatever. And he had a really bad reputation for burning a lot of food. And they would use up ingredients, and you wouldn't learn new recipes. And so, yeah, he's kind of hated by the player base in World of Warcraft.
Nice.
So the fact that he has six grease fire elementals, like
That's
his
awesome.
whole kitchen is just on fire.
And his cooking is so burnt that it takes on a mystical life of its own, and it becomes an elemental.
Yes.
I wonder if they have like the little like forearm guards. What do they call those things that they wear on their forearm, but doesn't cover your? It's not a gauntlet because it doesn't cover your hand. You know that
Oh, it's
elementals
just
all
like
have.
bracelets. Yeah. They're
Braces,
like
yeah,
magical
yeah.
bracelets. Yeah. There's a picture of it online
With the Iron
already.
Chef
They
like
have
knives on them or something.
They showed pictures of the grease fire elementals. I'll just look it up as if you can go for the next one.
Sure. Next card is another version of Arch-Villain Ruffum, legendary Warlock minion this time. Last set he was neutral in League of Explorers. He is a 7 mana, 7/8 body. Reads Taunt, Battle Cry, replace your hand and deck with legendary minions. So we're getting around to that original Elise Starseeker kind of thing, but rather than just like make you do all this stuff like put a card in your deck, draw it, and all that stuff like it used to be with the Golden Monkey, you know what? We're just gonna step across that, not waste our time, and now you have legendary everything. So that could be a super fun card. Could be for the player who's just interested in just having a good time, and you just like, I'm gonna roll the dice and see what happens. This could be a great card for you and give you a chance to play with a lot of legendaries you just may not have yet. I don't know if it's going to be amazing or not, but 7/8, 7 mana bodies pretty good with taunt, and to do something that powerful could be great. So I don't know. What do you think?
Here's my crazy thought is for like an aggro deck that has a lot of early game but never wants to get to turn 7, it's like that's when I run out of steam. If I do get there and I'm losing, I'd just drop him and go, okay, I guess
YOLO.
I see what I get. Now suddenly I have
it's kind
hand
of a
and
YOLO
deck
card.
that could be late game.
Yeah, I think anybody who plays a strict aggro player would say, "Oh, no, you'd find other ways to win." Because is it a win condition on its own, or is it sort of a break glass in case of emergency kind of card? I don't know.
It's a Yogg.
It's a Yogg, kind of. Yeah, I could see that. I like it
Here's the
though.
thing.
It seems playable.
The pool for legendary minions is going to be very small.
Yes.
So I know that the community is going to figure out the percentage of like what legendary minions are good and which ones are bad and which ones you want to get, and if this will actually be a good thing for you to want to do on turn 7.
Do you think that maybe they'll allow double legendaries? Like, let's say I could get more than one Lower Walker Cho in my hand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And also legendaries from other classes.
Cool. I mean, yeah, that's true. It's not just legendaries usually from your class and then neutral. It's just legendaries across the board.
Which
I
makes
bet you in
you,
Wild, it's
able to
stupid.
do things that you never could before if it's from a different class. Yeah. So
Yeah.
in
It's going to be a
Wild.
lot of trolled in videos in the first week of this expansion using that card. I guarantee.
It's going to be fun.
Okay, you want to take the next one, Eve?
The Forest's Aid. So this is a twin spell card.
Talk to us about twin spell.
It's a druid spell. It's rare. I like that a lot of these, well, we just talked about legendaries, but a lot of these cool ones that we're going to be talking about are either common or rare. So cheap for you people out there. 8 mana, summon 5 2/2 treants. So twin spell means when you cast it, it's automatically going to put a second copy into your hand. But even though that's kind of like Echo, you can play this one whenever you want. It's not going to disappear at the end of your turn.
Yeah, but it doesn't say twin spell on it, on the new copy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You just
That's pretty
basically
cool.
get 2 copies of the spell. When you cast it, you get another one, and that's it, just 2. So your opponent knows you have another one of those in your hand where you can pull out 5 2/2 treants for 8 mana, whenever. But that's essentially taking 2 spells and 1 slot in your deck.
So I wonder if this card will make Treant Druid at least a tier 2 deck, because I've been thinking a lot about Treant Druid being a thing, and there's some cards in it that could make it viable. And here's another one that gives you some reload, because I think if Odd Paladin has taught us nothing, that being able to refill your deck or your board over and over and over again, that can get really fatiguing for a lot of decks, not being able to handle that. And then, Savage Roar, boom, you win. So
And
we'll
8
see.
mana for 2 spells. No, wait, because you have to pay the 8 mana again. The second
do.
time.
You do, but I mean, it's still refill. I mean, you don't with Druid, you don't ever want to leave 5 2/2s on the board
Right.
ever.
That is a scary thing.
It is a scary thing. You just surprise, I win.
I think what we talked about before is that in this expansion, they're going to try to be doubling down on what the classes' identities are. And it looks like they're pushing Druid in what we would call in Magic white weenies.
Yeah.
So like
White weenie deck.
token deck. That's where they're pushing it. So I hope there's going to be a lot more cards that go along and support this.
Well, at least in this avenue, because they've also said that they like Druid to drop the big stuff, and bunch of 2/2s is definitely not big stuff. You know what I mean?
But it's almost like the potential, as you said, nobody wants to leave these on the board. So that's kind of what
Right.
Druid's thing is. It's the potential of it starts out like this, but if you leave it alone, it's going to get real scary real fast.
Yeah. There's do you know the card that turns all your treants into 5/5 treants? Do you know what that one was?
No.
There's a card. I'm looking it up real quick on my phone because that's what I have in my hand. It is, nobody's talked about it. It's an epic card, and it's kind of just, what it does is it turns all your treants. Oh, there it is. It is what's it called? Whoops. It is called a Tree Speaker. Battle Cry. Transform your treants into 5/5 ancients.
How much does that cost?
It's a 5 cost 4/4. It's a 5 cost 4/4, and it's
that's a decent spell.
It's
cost.
in your your Whizbang decks. I played one in the Whizbang. It's like, what is this card? It was one of those cards that just like people are like, meh, treants are bad. Don't worry about it. And I didn't think anything about it. And then I played it in Whizbang the other day, playing a friend for an 80 gold quest. And I was like, whoa, this is sweet, man. If it wasn't so slow, it'd be great. Although the one thing I will say is that if you transform them, they can't attack. They have sleeping sickness, so they can't attack until the next turn. So
okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
because that's not readily apparent. What expansion is that from?
This is from Rusticon.
Okay, cool. So that's not rotating out. That's cool.
I think it's from Rusticon, yeah.
So the next one you can take expel.
Okay, my turn. Forbidden Words. It's a priest spell. It's a rare. 0 mana. It says spend all your mana, destroy a minion with that much attack or less. So this card is, everybody's been saying, this is the solution for priest to take out a 4 attack minion.
Yep.
4 mana, destroy the Azure Drakes. Not Azure Drakes, the Twilight Drakes. Destroy the Twilight Drakes.
Why take away their weakness, Blizzard? Why? Whenever we had a 4 attack minion, we were like, haha, it's safe. You can't do anything.
Nothing to me, fool. Well, they can, but it's just like they have to have it, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just the thing. Like, does the priest want to have that in their deck? Is it that important? Although it's pretty versatile, right? You can get rid of almost anything because it doesn't have to be the exact. It can be 4 or less. So shoot, turn 4. Oh, you got a ship's cannon on board. I don't want that in there anymore. Dead. Oh, you got a hench clan thug there. I don't want that there anymore. It's dead. You know, that kind of a thing. So
Yeah, you just got to be careful to like spend your mana on your other things first because this is going to use up all the stuff you have.
yeah, yeah. So it could make it dicey. It could make it to where you just blow your mana on a minion. So
yeah,
it's good early game, not so good late game. Could save your bacon late game if it's like a mountain giant or something, but or Deathwing. But actually you couldn't kill Deathwing, could you? Because it has to be 10
you
mana.
can only do 10.
10 attack. Oh yeah,
Yep. That's the size she goes.
Right. So there is some drawback, but it seems like a good card though. It seems like it's versatile enough to be at least included in a priest that's trying to survive and trying to deal with your stuff. I think Zetalot said that it looked like it had a lot of potential too. So what Zetalot says is I tend to go with just because, he's kind of the priest guru in the world. Okay, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, so the next card, Evil Miscreant. So evil is all capped, EVIL, and that is the group. The evil group is going by E.V.I.L. I'm not really sure what it stands for yet.
Yeah, I haven't figured that out yet.
They might explain it to us later. But anyway, So he works for the evil shadows. He's a rogue minion, common. 3 mana, 1/5, reads combo, add 2 random lackeys to your hand. So lackeys are 1 mana, 1/1 neutral minions. They don't have any creature type. They are not collectible. They have no gem.
They're
and
token.
There are 5 of them. And they each have different abilities. So there's Witchy Lackey, which is Battlecry, transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. Evolve.
Yay!
Kobold Lackey, Battlecry, deal 2 damage. Goblin Lackey, Battlecry, give a friendly minion +1 attack and rush. Faceless Lackey, Battlecry, summon a random 2-cost minion. And Ethereal Lackey, Battlecry, discover a spell.
Cool.
And they're all neutral, so even though he's a rogue minion, these are not rogue lackeys. So I'm assuming there's going to be a lot more cards that give us lackeys, and this is the pool from which they will draw when they give you random lackeys or maybe discover a lackey.
Discover a lackey.
Yes. These are pretty good, like a 1 mana 1/1. These are pretty good abilities that they have.
And in Rogue combo, anytime you get a 1-cost card that does stuff, combo be good, man. So
like discover a spell, that's great. Summon a random 2-cost minion. That one's kind of more iffy, not knowing what you're going to get, but like deal 2
damage at random. Just deal 2 damage, which means anywhere. That could be good. Be real good.
Transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. That's also kind of iffy, but I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think this has a lot of potential. All right, next one. Let's see here. This is the Spellword Jeweler. It's a neutral minion, and it's a rare. It's a 3 mana, 3/4. So as we would say back in the old days, it's a spider tank, but more. It has a battle cry that reads, your hero cannot be targeted by spells or hero powers until your next turn. Interesting. I wonder what they're worried about.
Be attacked by minions.
Yeah.
So it's not like Ice Block.
You can't get shot by a mage or a hunter. Although hunters don't target, so can they hit you still?
Yes.
So a mage can't target you.
Right. It has to be a targeting thing, so hunter would still
spells.
be able to hit you.
Hunter can shoot you, and a priest couldn't heal itself, which is weird,
Oh my gosh, yeah. You wouldn't be able to heal your own face if you used this.
Turn 3 and wait a minute, or turn 5. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna heal. Wait, why can't I heal myself? No,
heal yourself first, then cast Spellword Jeweler.
What have I done? My sequencing is bad today. No, it seems like a decent card. I'm wondering what they're thinking. Like what's coming out that makes me want to worry about not being targeted by hero powers. But I mean, spell's great, right? So, aha, mage, you thought you could kill me with that big spell that you just got from your Calicos.
You can still get targeted by weapons.
And minions, of course. Stuff that can go face from the board.
Yeah. That's something that always confused me because, like, if your hero is actually getting attacked by the other hero, which is what happens when you equip a weapon and attack them, this should apply for that. But, yeah. It's only really mages, and that's it. Because druid can attack you. Can't it? If they weapon up and they have like their one.
Yeah, because they're going face with their hero. They're not just like
right. They're not
something over
targeting.
The fence.
Yeah. See, that's confusing.
I could see for like a new player how that might be hard to understand because I'm targeting you with my person or with my hero portrait. You know, so I could see that would be a little. I wonder if maybe they'll ever fix. I wonder if they'll ever fix that. Who knows?
But I think
maybe it's too complicated.
I think what it's like supposed to be is really the hero powers that are magic, the targeting hero powers, like mage, and that's it.
Maybe they just don't want mage to be able to shoot you over the fence so easily.
It's basically against mage.
It sounds like it could be a totally like. Well, I mean that's one of the big things that Lothib did back in the day is like, okay, good. I just need to stop this mage from using any spells, so I'm just going to Lothib so now I'm out of range for most anything they're going to cast. They can't just burn me out of hand like a priest could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although that's the thing is Mind Blast is a non-targeted spell.
Yep, then that would still hit you.
And Sinister Strike for Rogue is non-targeted. So there's some stuff that will still hit you in face.
Is it? Is Sinister Strike heroes only?
Yep. It's 3 damage to heroes. So you just push it out to the battlefield and
then that would hit too.
Target it. Yeah.
That's something that would be confusing to new players too. Hagatha's Scheme. Okay, so the schemes are new mechanics, which are super cool. Hagatha's Scheme is a shaman spell because she's a shaman character. Rare, 5 mana. Deal 1 damage to all minions, upgrades each turn. So if you have this in your mulligan, the first turn, it'll do 1 damage. And if you hold it in your hand till the next turn, it'll do 2 damage. And then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. As far as I know, there is no cap. They haven't said that there is one. It'll just keep going as long as you hold it in your hand. But it does do it to all minions.
So that's the big drawback.
Yeah. And it doesn't hit face. Thank goodness. You just hold this in your hand for 20 turns and then you're good.
Yeah.
But it's also rare. Like, I like that these cool cards that people are going to try and play with are cheap for newer players. I'm just kind of noticing like a lot of rare and common, so it's good.
For a shaman to want to like wreck their board like that seems very I wonder how you would use it. You know what I mean? It seems really good, like especially maybe on turn if you pull it like on turn 5 or you pull it on turn 4, so it only does 2 or 3 damage because maybe your board can survive. But like wiping your board,
think of
like
Volcano.
Anomalous. Like, well, yeah, Volcano, but like I remember Anomalous did that. Anomalous does 8 everything damage to the board, right? When it died, and that card never saw play because people were like, I don't want to blow my board to smithereens. And if you pull this on accident early in the game, you almost can never play it unless you just dump it right away to clear the board. So,
well, what is the shaman spell that just did 1 damage? Was it only to enemy minions
Maelstrom?
and then summoned Maelstrom Portal?
But it was only enemy minions.
It was
plus
only
you
enemies?
summon a minion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking this makes sense for Hagatha because her battle cry when she comes out and replaces your hero portrait is do 2 damage to everything.
It was 3 damage.
Oh, was it 3? Sorry, 3 damage to everything. So this makes sense that it's her scheme and it's her power.
Yeah, the what it does makes sense, but I can see how it could really backfire. Like it's kind of, again, it's a break glass in case of emergency sort of cards. Like, well, I can't do anything to stop you from killing me. How about 10 damage to the whole board? How about that?
So basically what you're saying is you don't want to mulligan for this. Like, you want to throw it away if you have it because it'll just keep getting more and more powerful every turn and you'll destroy your own minions. So you kind of want to pull this later in the game and then have a choice of how to use it. Yeah, it's really tricky.
Because if you don't use it by a certain point, then it just becomes diminished returns as it goes on, So, or maybe not. I guess it just depends on how you look at it. But it's super interesting just to think about the complexity, just that it does upgrade. And in some ways, an upgrade is not an upgrade. You know what I mean? Depending on the circumstances of what's going on in the game.
It has its downside, which is fine. It makes it more of an even card, right?
Mm-hmm.
I might be wiping your entire board, but I'm also wiping mine. So,
yeah,
it
would be busted if it was only one-sided. It would be just ridiculously stupid.
This doesn't have the shaman downside word. Overload. Yeah.
Yep.
So that makes it amazing.
Yeah. All right, next one. This is the last one. It was just revealed today on Friday. Togwaggle's Scheme. So it's under that mechanic. It's a rogue spell, and it's rare. Costs 1 mana. It says choose a minion. Now notice it says choose a minion, not friendly minion, not enemy minion, just a minion, which could be anyone, right? And shuffle 1 copy of it into your deck. Upgrades each turn, and for this upgrade, it's shuffle 2 copies, shuffle 3 copies, etc. So, Pogo Hoppers, here we come. You know what I mean?
There's no Cold Light Oracles, which is the other thing I have seen.
Now, does it remain 1 mana? Like the cost doesn't change, does it?
Nope, the cost doesn't change.
Ooh. So this is the kind of card if you had, I'm sure there's a lot of debate about whether or not you would keep a card like this in your opening mulligan, right? Because early game, when you can shuffle, let's say by turn 7, you shuffle 7 more copies of something into your deck.
Oh, you would want this one in your opening hand, I think.
Maybe, but if you don't have a way to deal with an aggro board or a mid-range board, you're sad. You know what I mean? Because you're just shuffling copies of minions into deck. You're not clearing the board. You're not building a board or developing it. You're just putting stuff in to draw later.
But it's only 1 mana, so you could just kind of use it at any point. If you see something really cool that your opponent put down, that you want a whole bunch of them in your deck and a chance to pull it, and you can just pull the trigger. I know what you're saying, but yeah.
This card kind of scares me a little bit because this could make Auctioneer just busted. So busted they have to get rid of it because it's a spell. It's a 1 mana spell. And you pull it early game, you cast Auctioneer mid game, you shuffle 6 or 7 of these minions into your deck, and you start pulling them. Especially if there's stuff like Pogo Hoppers, or Cold Light Oracles, or oh gosh,
But you can only cast it once.
Yeah, but you just have all these minions that do mean things to you stuck in your deck, and you just get unlimited amounts. Ooh, this card has a lot of potential to just be busted.
Also, as it gets closer and closer to the end game, if you have less and less cards in your deck, and then all of a sudden you put 20 of whatever into your deck, you're not going to fatigue, and you know exactly what you're drawing for the next 10 turns.
20 Leroy's, baby. Oh yeah.
So, just as they give us more ways to have those horrible decks, they also give us more ways to defend against those horrible decks. Wait a minute.
I hope so.
Togwaggle's Rogue, so only Rogue can use it.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see. I guarantee Dog will have figured out something on the first couple days about how to abuse this card. So I'm anxious to see what it'll do. I hope it's just not a new version of the same old story, same old song and dance. You know what I mean? Like Rogue shuffling a bunch of stuff that then they just pull it all at once and then build an insurmountable board that can't be dealt with.
They definitely do that a lot, right? With the what are they called that hop out? I don't play Rogue a lot.
The Pogo Hoppers.
No, I'm thinking of when you draw a card, you have a chance to draw it, and then it pops out on your deck as a 4/4. That whole strategy of making the deck that draws through your deck so you can draw them and put more into your deck, and then you draw them and you just end up with a whole board full of 4/4s. That
4/4s for days.
They've been doing that.
Terror Scale Stock? No, that's a hunter. What's that? They're like Nerubians. They're like elf Nerubian looking things. What are those? Oh, I'm blanking on the name of them.
To begin with, it was put them in your opponent's deck, and then when they draw it, it comes out on the board, and then it was put it into your own deck, and then beneath the grounds. This is a reoccurring theme that they're doing for rogues, which is kind of funny because it's they just pop out of the smoke. You go to draw a card, and no, there's a rogue there, poof, and then all of a sudden there's an enemy on the board. So if you think about it that way, it does work to rogues' flavor of all of a sudden being there and doing damage unexpectedly.
Well, I love that. That's the thing I like about Rogue is Rogue has the ability, probably more than any other class, and Mage comes close, I think, and Druid can sometimes, but they just have the ability to come from. I mean, that's why they have one of them. They came from behind because you do come back from behind, and just win. You just get the game. Like I did it to a guy the other day. I've been playing a lot of Kingsbane Rogue, like the pirate aggro version on Wild, and in a turn, I prepped into, like late in the game, prepped into Myra's Unstable Element, and then had another prep in that and drew all my Sharp Sword oils and poison, all this stuff. And I just like smashed him in the face with my weapon. You know what I mean? Just the nuts. And the guy was like, wow. Or I probably was a priest because, only a priest would say wow. But
wow.
And you feel, and you're like, and that's like, man, you just expect the friend request. You just know it's coming. Okay, the card we keep talking about, but can't remember what it's called, is Falderoy Strider.
There we go. Thank
You're
you
the one
for saving
Falderoy Striders for days, which means lots of spiders for days. So you can only have so many flame strikes to deal with all those spiders.
So, yeah, but I think they know that these have the possibility of being very powerful cards. Please, Blizzard, you have figured this out. So there's going to be other things out there for the other classes. I mean, we haven't seen any Paladin or Hunter or...
Yeah, I mean, we are on the top molecule of the iceberg right now.
Yeah. I think what they wanted to do is like show us good examples of what the new mechanics are.
Well, I find it kind of cool that they... normally when the first couple cards are kind of lame. You know what I mean? Like traditionally they're like, okay, all right, so well, it's a card. It might maybe do something, maybe not. I think these cards that they're showing us in this first dump is they're pretty good. They seem pretty strong. They seem useful. They seem, especially knowing how the stuff that is rotating out. It looks like these cards have a lot of potential, and I'm kind of excited about it because there's some really new things here that we've never seen before.
Potential is the word that I would use. Yeah, definitely. It's like you don't look at any of these and are like, nobody's going to play with that. That's pointless. That's useless. You look at them all and you're kind of like, okay, how can I make a deck around this? That could be useful. I could do this with that. So, I mean, they could just really be getting better at making cards.
Well, I think that in tandem with the set rotating. I mean, we're rotating out some of the most powerful cards that have ever been made in Hearthstone's history, and they're all going away at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to leave this vacuum that needs to be filled with something. And so they can make some, they're cleaning the slate. All right. Got those Death Knights out of the way. Got those legendary weapons out of the way. Got those quests out of the way. And we are now going to see what Hearthstone can be. So I think there's going to be a lot in the player base that's going to say, okay, all right, Hearthstone, going to give you another chance. Not all of this stuff that we hate is moved out. They even got Gen and Baku out of the format.
Yep.
That's how much of the clean slate they wanted. And honestly, the more I play Wild, the more I want Gen and Baku nerfed. Because I don't like that Paladin can be so good. Paladin is just too darn good with that hero power.
Yeah.
So it's just it's too easy for them to win, I think. And you can't deal with their board enough. You just don't have the tools. So yeah, they have to have a bad draw, really. And then Divine Favor is just stupid in that deck. It's so stupid. So anyhow, I'm going to stop griping. I've lost a lot of Paladin.
I think that each of the baddies is going to have a scheme. It seems to go along with what they've done in the past. So there's going to be a scheme for each of like rogue, shaman, priest, warlock, warrior. Am I missing any? Is it just the 5? I think it's 5. Yeah. So there's going to be 5 schemes, I think. And then I don't know, like the defenders, which would be the opposing leftover classes that aren't the bad guys, if they're going to have something. Because I think they would have announced it if there was another mechanic. So maybe the good guys are also going to have a scheme.
Of course, just because you have a scheme doesn't mean it's an evil scheme. It could be a good scheme.
I don't know. Scheme kind of means Evil.
It just means plan, right? It's just your plan. That's why they say evil scheme instead of, oh, Dr. Boom is scheming. I mean, it has like a connotation how you flavor it with your inflection, your body language, but like I'm going to foil your evil schemes. They always say evil
it's always
schemes instead of
evil.
your scheme. But they have to use the word evil as a parameter, right?
Well, I know in the past they haven't like given something to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it is just these guys that get the scheme, and then I don't know what the defenders are going to get. Because are the defenders going to get lackeys? I guess you
They're
could have a
just gonna
good
get busted
lackey.
stuff. They're gonna get busted stuff. Is what they're gonna
All
get.
the dragons are going to be on the good guys' side. We're going to have the dragons.
Would that make your heart happy?
Yes! If all the bad guys were like Hagatha and
Dragonless.
Togwaggle and then all the good guys were all dragons. That'd be really cool.
Getting excited as we speak, eh?
Yes, I am. I have hope.
Right. Hey, we're almost exactly at an hour. In fact, pretty much right on an hour.
That's awesome.
So
just like we planned it.
Sounds like a good time to start wrapping up the show because we got through all the news. With news and show topic. It's that wonderful season when all Hearthstone podcasts revolve around the expansion and the card drops because, well, frankly, if we talk about anything else, the show goes on for 2 hours or longer. So before we tell you where you can find us, special thank you to our sponsor, our most important sponsor. We have many sponsors of the show, but our sponsor who's been with us for many years now, Jamie S., also you know him as Pseudoping. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on, pay our bills, keeping us in business, if you will.
You
just
too
very
can be
important
an
to us, and we
official
appreciate-
sponsor of Velen's
Yeah, and if you want to
Chosen.
be an official sponsor and you'd like to help out the show in any way possible, you can go ahead on over to patreon.com /Velen's Chosen podcast and just follow the links there. Your 50 cents, $1, it all adds up. Or more if you choose. Be great. If not, you can support us by writing a review on iTunes. And we also are now on Podbean and by extension, blanking out. What is it?
It's got
what
a
is
little
it, Eve?
green. The
green thing.
icon. Spotify.
Spotify. It starts with an Gosh, I feel like I'm 80 years old sometimes. It's Spotify. Yeah, you can check us out on Spotify. All of our past podcasts are available, by the way, lower moments included. So you can head on there. So if you are an Android user and you hate iTunes, well, don't worry about it. We got you covered. But reviews are great. I'd love to hear your reviews, good and bad. We do read the bad ones too, and we take stock of what people find negative about the show, and we care about that stuff. I was telling Eve the other day, it's like, you're going to laugh at me when I say this, but I think I say too much sometimes on the show. So it's like, noted. Going to try and not say so much. And maybe I drink a lot of caffeine before I do the show so that my brain fires on all cylinders because almost always it's late at night. So,
I struggle with
constructive criticism
remembering
helps.
the names of cards.
I think everybody does. Think about it. There are thousands of cards. And to be able to call any of them up perfectly on a whim.
Yeah, we need to be able
that's
to
a lot of
pause the
information.
show and be like, wait, gonna look it up? Okay, now I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
I am a god. I can remember everything. I forget nothing. Yeah,
Photographic memory. Yeah.
Anyhow, Eve, before we close out, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter quite a bit, showing people my attempts at cooking most recently.
I saw that.
And I am Lore Master Eve there on the Twitters. My BattleNet is Lore Master Eve 1974. And I recently started uploading things to my own SoundCloud. I've been,
Like lore stuff?
Yeah. There's a lot of
Sweet.
Destiny stuff that I find fascinating, and I don't really have a place to put it. And some anime stuff. And yeah, I've just been kind of practicing doing audiobooks because that's something that I was interested in the past as a profession. And so kind of building a portfolio. So I don't know, if you want to check out what I've been doing on SoundCloud, I'm on SoundCloud. And you can look at my other audio stuff I do.
Sweet. I'll have to check that out. Well, if you want to, harass me or talk to me or or I don't know, throw me 80
Spectate
golds,
you.
spectate games, whatever you want to do. Just critique me for being greedy, whatever you want to do. You can head on over on Twitter to @WatchmanHS. And please, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but almost every time somebody notices my screen name, like, who watches The Watchmen? I had that happen on Overwatch the other day. I was playing and somebody's like, who watches The Watchmen? I'm like, oh gosh.
Gee, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, I know. It's like, thank you for your input. It is noted. Go on over to Twitters. If you want to find me on BattleNet, Watchmen #1140. If you want me to spectate a game or something like that, I'd be happy. If you want critique, I'd try to do that if I have time. I'm such a grinder, though, that half the time I'm in the middle of a match when people talk to me. So I'm playing a lot of Wild because standard format's boring right now. So I like Wild just because it's nuts sometimes. And I'm getting better at learning the meta. So it's where we're at. When the new expansion drops, I'll probably play a crap ton of standard because I don't see the Wild meta changing all that much.
Yeah.
It just depends on the cards. So, okay, Eve, you can just close out the show, and y'all have a great week, and we'll be seeing you next weekend.
Not all who wander are lost.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
I foresaw this.
Did I miss it?